There are moments in Formula One when the headlines feel less like sporting updates and more like chapters of history being written. Lewis Hamilton's shock move to Ferrari was exactly that. The greatest driver of his generation, a seven-time world champion, joining the most iconic team in motorsport, it felt like destiny, the marriage of two legends. But beneath the cinematic headlines lies a question Ferrari cannot afford to ignore. What happens after Hamilton? Because while his name carries unimaginable weight, his time in Formula One is finite. He didn't arrive in Maranello as a rookie, he arrived in his 40s, a living legend nearing the final pages of his career. And that reality means Ferrari, a team notorious for looking backward at its glorious past, must finally look forward. Hamilton has made his intentions clear. His eyes are fixed on 2026, the dawn of new regulations that could reset the balance of power in Formula One. It's the moment many believe Ferrari has been waiting for, the chance to re-establish itself as a championship-winning force. But what if it doesn't go as planned? Ferrari has promised before. Ferrari has failed before. And if the new era begins with disappointment, Hamilton could decide that the mountain is simply too steep to climb. Early retirement, a shock exit, or even a move to another team would suddenly be on the table. That's why, even though the thought feels premature, the question of Hamilton's successor is already creeping into conversations around the paddock. The Italian squad knows it cannot gamble twice. Replacing a legend is never easy, but ignoring the future would be disastrous. And that's where whispers of a name have started echoing through Formula One's corridors. Gabriel Bortoleto, a rookie, a rising star, a driver managed by none other than Fernando Alonso, for the first time in years. Ferrari's future doesn't just look uncertain, it looks intriguing. Gabriel Bortoleto's journey is one that mirrors the hunger of every young driver who dreams of breaking into Formula One. Just last year, he was crowned Formula champion, defeating rivals who were heavily favored. Many saw it as a sign that the Brazilian was not just another name passing through the feeder series, he was something special. When Sauber, soon to become Audi, gave him his shot in 2025, expectations were modest. After all, he was paired with Nico Hülkenberg, one of the most experienced drivers on the grid. Most rookies would have been forgiven for spending their debut season quietly learning, finishing behind their veteran teammate, and simply surviving the brutal pace of Formula One. But Bortoleto had other plans. His season began slowly, but then came Austria, his first points. A symbolic moment that showed he belonged. In Spa, he backed it up again. And in Hungary, he delivered a stunning P6 finish, outscoring Hülkenberg and announcing himself to the paddock. Suddenly, this wasn't just another rookie learning the ropes. This was a driver adapting faster than expected, making fewer mistakes, and showing glimpses of brilliance. In qualifying, where raw speed matters most, Bortoleto was already ahead, outperforming Hülkenberg 8 times in the opening half of the season. Even in sprint races, the story was the same. The consistency wasn't fully there yet, but the flashes of talent were undeniable. Momentum is everything in Formula One, and right now, it's on Bortoleto's side. That's what has made Ferrari sit up and pay attention. Because when a rookie begins outperforming an established teammate so quickly, the conversation shifts from, is he good enough? to, how soon can he make the leap? Bortoleto has proven he isn't just surviving, he's thriving. And for Ferrari, the timing couldn't be more intriguing. But talent alone is never enough in Formula One to make it to Ferrari. A driver needs something extra: political weight, influence, and connections. And this is where Bortoleto's story becomes even more fascinating. His career is being guided by Fernando Alonso, a two-time world champion who knows Ferrari inside out. Alonso has a reputation for pulling strings, for seeing the sport not just as races on Sundays, but as a chessboard where every move matters. And when Alonso believes in someone, the paddock takes notice. Former Formula One Supremo Bernie Ecclestone has already gone on record, saying Ferrari should not hesitate. Bortoleto, in his eyes, is the future. Rubens Barrichello, Ferrari's former driver and one of Brazil's most beloved racers, agrees that the young talent could be the one to carry the torch. But Barrichello also warns of a deeper challenge. For years, Brazilian motorsport has suffered, not from a lack of talent, but from a lack of financial support. The passion is there, you only have to visit a karting track in São Paulo to see it, but the money, the sponsorship, the infrastructure has often lagged behind. That makes Bortoleto's rise all the more impressive. He's not just fighting competitors on the track, he's fighting the weight of a system stacked against him, and yet, despite all the obstacles, his name is being discussed in the same breath as Ferrari. That is no small achievement. The question, though, is whether Ferrari has the courage to look outside its traditional pool. The team has its own academy, with names like Oliver Bearman waiting in the wings. Promoting Bortoleto would mean choosing an outsider over one of their own. It would mean betting on raw momentum rather than carefully groomed loyalty. And in Ferrari's history, that kind of bold gamble has been rare. Ferrari's dilemma is simple but brutal. Do they build their future entirely around Hamilton, hoping he delivers the long-awaited championship, and then react when he finally retires? Or do they begin laying the foundation now, ensuring that when Hamilton does step away, the team isn't caught scrambling? because history is filled with Ferrari miscalculations. Think of the legends they've let slip away. Young Max Verstappen, who could have been the face of Ferrari for a generation. Even Daniel Ricciardo, during his prime, was left out of Ferrari's long-term vision. These mistakes have haunted them. And if they let Bortoleto fall into Audi's hands, they may once again look back and regret. The clock is ticking. Hamilton's presence gives Ferrari immense credibility today, but it does nothing to solve tomorrow. And Bortoleto's development is accelerating. By 2027 or 2028, he could be polished, experienced, and ready to lead a top team. If Ferrari waits too long, the chance may be gone forever. Audi, desperate to establish itself as a powerhouse, could make Bortoleto their centerpiece, and Ferrari would be left watching another star slip through their fingers. The very fact that Alonso, Ecclestone, and Barrichello are all mentioning his name should be a wake-up call. Ferrari cannot afford to wait for the perfect moment because in Formula One, there is no perfect moment. There are only opportunities seized, or opportunities lost. And this is where the story stops being about just one rookie and starts being about Ferrari's identity. The red team has always thrived on legacy, on celebrating its past, on invoking the names of Schumacher, Lauda, and Villeneuve. But legacy is not enough to win championships. What defines the great teams is the ability to see the future before anyone else does. Mercedes saw it with Hamilton back in 2013. Red Bull saw it with Verstappen now. Ferrari faces its own test. Can they think ahead, beyond Hamilton, beyond the glamour of today, and build a foundation for the next decade? Gabriel Bortoleto may not be a guaranteed world champion, but he represents everything Ferrari has lacked for years: youth, hunger, and raw potential. He's not polished yet, he's not flawless, but that's exactly why he should be watched. Every lap, every qualifying session, every daring overtake is shaping him into a driver who could one day carry Ferrari's scarlet legacy forward. And if Ferrari is brave enough to act, they could secure not just Hamilton's replacement, but the cornerstone of their future. So here's the question Ferrari must answer. Will they cling to the present and risk the future? Or will they gamble on tomorrow before it's too late? Because whether they admit it or not, the post-Hamilton era is coming faster than anyone thinks. And when that moment arrives, Ferrari must have more than just memories of a legend. They must have a plan. What about you? Do you believe Ferrari should move for Bortoleto sooner rather than later? Or should they focus entirely on maximizing Hamilton's final chapter? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to keep diving into the biggest shifts shaping Formula One, make sure you're subscribed because the next twist is never far away.